Okay, so now that you know a little bit about my story, where I come from, so my background before becoming a coach was actually in real estate. So family business, and that was what I loved to do. But prior to that, I was virtually unemployable. So I would find that I hated being in the rut of 9 to 5. I had a lot of my own issues, and basically in 2006, neuro-linguistic programming changed my life so dramatically that I just went out straight away and started utilising it. I mean, I was in clinic, so I was able to help people, and I would be helping people from police officers to detectives to people that were running very high-level weight management programs. We won't call it weight loss, because we know with the subconscious mind, if you say loss and you're losing something, then you're going to go and find it. You may go and find it, and that's where you don't want to find weight that you want to get rid of. So I help those kinds of people because they would want to, if they were like top state managers that were actually ambassadors for their weight management programs, they had to stay slim. I mean, it wouldn't be much good if they were carrying a huge amount of weight and, here they are promoting a weight management program. So they would come because they would suddenly learn how to recode their brain. And like Jane was saying the other day, that you are on this new diet, and she knows I hate the word diet. And, I'm going, oh, but then I'm thinking real fast, like, how are we going to shift and reframe this? Because that's what NLP is all about. It's about shifting and reframing. I've got to accept this for my dear friend's purpose, and I've got to be able to shift it in my brain so I can help shift it in her brain. And then what actually came to me, ta-da! It suddenly landed that this may have started out to being a diet, but in actual fact, it's going to become a way of life. And because you happen to be, Jane, is so au fait with neuro-linguistic program and with the work, you've trained your brain anyway. And really what it is, hello, how are you? And what it is when you are really, NLP is about understanding your brain and how to use it, how to rewire yourself, how to take control of your life. So talking about the experiential side and how it starts off with a person's experience. So someone might come in and they might have a childhood trauma. Like I remember dealing with a man quite a few years ago, and he had some childhood trauma in relation to the way he was brought up. His mother was very sick. She had a lot of psychological issues, and he had that hanging over him. See, that's the thing. We kind of carry this through from our formative years. And this is what I'm going to be teaching in the next training, which comes under the topic of timeline therapy. And we will talk about timeline therapy today, and we will be setting up your timelines. But what we discovered is in his life, let's just say from 0 to where he is now, we discovered that going right back here, where he was just a little boy, he was traumatised by what was going on in his family of origin. Now, let's just take another case, because I'm really good at convoluting and talking the way that I talk, but it's okay, I'll try and finish my stories. Another person, this is with Tony Robbins. Anyone heard of Tony Robbins? Yeah, so I do the framework as Tony Robbins. So he was helping someone who suffered, and the guy just wanted to get rid of it. So what he actually did was he also looked at timelining him as well. So what he did, like this guy wouldn't have a clue about timelining, but he's like, when did you start stuttering? See, that's the big thing. When did you actually start stuttering? He went, made a rough guess, maybe about 7 or 8. And then he managed to go back and say, well, what happened here at the age of 7 and 8? Where there's a bit of a trauma, there's an association that happens, and this happens to all of us, right? And then all of a sudden, boom, it kicks in. And he went, oh, and suddenly it dropped. He said, my parents were fighting and they were talking about splitting up, and I became so traumatized. He said, but what was happening at the time? What were you doing? Because he was trying to track the stuttering. He said, I was watching a cartoon and the cartoon character was stuttering, and boom, it went in. And then a guy the other day, only last week, that I was doing hypnosis with, he's got a pattern and a habit that he wants to get rid of, right? I won't tell you about what that is, it's highly personal, but we had to track back for him where that all started. So, you know, when did he first start doing that? What was the kind of the links to where that stemmed from? And we got it. He was like blown away. You know, he's just a normal bloke. He goes to the gym, he works out, he's got big muscles, he's, you know, but this stuff, but he also, typical man, he was really looking for the how, like, how do you do that? How do you make this happen? And in a way, that's why people want to learn it, because they want to learn how can I deal with what I'm dealing with. So I always say your story becomes your glory. If people end up becoming coaches, generally speaking, what happens is whatever they release, if they're a coach, as that is, they then, you know, obviously blow it out of the water. They can go out and serve the world. Another example, I podcast and I was speaking to a woman in Europe, and she works for the criminal justice. So she's a peer of the criminal justice. And, you know, I knew before we started interviewing, and I go backstage and I go deep, like I go really deep into, you know, what made you get involved in this. Because when someone's really passionate, usually there's a link, because especially if it is their passion. I understand a lot of us just have jobs and then 9 to 5 jobs, so that I'm not talking about everyone. But in her case, she's a coach around it. So the story went, she was drug addicted originally, and she went into a psychosis, and she basically she was actually put in jail for arson to try and with the intention of obviously killing. But she said that's not what it was. That's not how it happened. And she was wrongly accused, and she ended up being found innocent. And here she is today, now sticking up for a lot of people that are, you know, in that situation. And she does a great job. But some of them, like, you know, let's face it, are criminals. I mean, you would know about this too, but she, you know, if you can start knowing how to speak into people's lives, you know, the number one presupposition of neuro-linguistic programming, everyone is always coming from the greatest intention. So even when someone is doing something bad, there is always a reason for that. And there is also something that is not working in their lives. They say hurting people hurt people. So now to just really now clarify what I'm saying, timeline, even though I'm not going to be talking about timelining today as in the training side of it, but I am talking about it. Isn't that great? I'm talking about something I'm not going to talk about. Anyway, that's craziness for you. So with the NLP, with the timeline therapy, everybody has a timeline. And believe it or not, the way you do time impacts a lot. And you do time different to you, and you do it different to you and you and you. And sometimes you will be very productive. And you will be like, have you ever had one of those moments where you go, I've got so much done. You know, in your life, you just go, wow, I've got so much done. And then there's other moments where you're like, oh my gosh, I can't get through this, overwhelm, and all the rest of it. Can anybody relate to that, by the way, right? Well, we teach you how to bend time. So bending time is done, and it can be influenced badly under drugs. Like a lot of people, believe it or not, get drug addicted because it bends time. But we can actually teach you how to bend time and be healthy. Just like we can teach you how to be trim, fit, and healthy without a diet. But remember, we have reframed Jane's diet to this is her natural way of life now. This is the natural way that she is eating. So when we're looking at timelining, if you decide that you would like to go on and do a little bit more training, I just want to kind of give you a little bit of an idea. So believe it or not, wherever you are doing a subconscious timeline will have a lot to do with how you do time. So for example, I'll give an example and maybe I will give it with Jane. Is that okay? We are on Zoom, but this is for members only. It's not public. Would you like to pop up?
Slowly.
Jane's just had a hip replacement and oh my gosh, girl, you are like, wow. You are as well. Okay, so what we usually do now, in a way, this is probably not the greatest example because you're very okay with this. I'll probably see if anybody else that's not so okay with it might like to have a little demo. So close your eyes shut. You'll get to see how someone who knows time does time. Okay, so I want you to think about getting up this morning and tell me whereabouts that is in your timeline. Just point. Okay, all right, beautiful. Now I want you to think about something you're going to be doing either this afternoon, tonight or tomorrow, just anything in your future, and point to where that is. Beautiful. That was easy, that was fast, okay? Has it always, you can open your eyes now, has it always been like that? No. Do you remember how it used to be before you met me?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Okay, so if you can, because I can't remember, so I'll just rely on your memory. So whereabouts did you, like, apart from the fact you probably thought, this is crazy stuff, right? I mean, where was it?
To the side of me.
Okay, to the side, right. And how did it run? Did it run?
It still ran from back to front, but I was outside. It was over there.
Did you hear that? She was outside of time. Now, what happens if a person, we all do that, you would still go outside of time sometimes. When we're outside of time, how are we functioning?
Detached.
Yeah, and you sort of like trying to catch up, you know, and I quite often think, Jane, that's great. I might pull it from you again after. But the way everyone does time, so if you are outside of time, right, you are you can be one of these people that go, right, I've got this to do, 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 but you're not in it. Now let's check something out. I wonder if I can be really radical and a little bit explicit here. Is that okay? Having an intimate experience, like an intimate experience with someone. Where are you? You're not thinking about, well, you shouldn't be. You're not thinking about what you're going to do next week, right? Or, you know, where are you? You're in the moment. If you are, you know, in a sport, and this is why a lot of people love running, and some people get addicted to the gym, and some people do things like that. Where are you? Yeah, you are in it. But you know, I remember I had a nervous breakdown when I was 27, and I just overworked. I just melted my brain away, and I got to a point where, from the gift of the gab, I could not even string sentences together. And it's like, I remember being in our home open, right? What had happened was it was Easter weekend. I was a complete fanatic and never knew when to stop. All the other real estate agents went away that weekend, but I worked, including the fact that I took over my dad's properties to sell those as well. And I cleaned up that weekend. I must have sold 6 properties, do the maths on that, Jane. And then on the Sunday, I was in a home open and a guy walks in and I go, hi. Nothing came out. I couldn't talk to him. I just couldn't talk. And then fast forward, I had my daughter was very young back then, and then I was trying to just brush her hair. I couldn't even brush her hair. I literally had become dysfunctional. My then husband, I've been married 5 times, just joking too. I shouldn't say that because I went out with friends last night who one of them has been married almost 5 times. So there's nothing wrong with that. That's okay. Elizabeth Taylor, eat your heart out. But you know, we were like in this situation where my husband then took me to the doctor and I felt like I was a fly on the wall. I didn't feel like I was in the room and I felt like he was talking about me and I wasn't there. Like, what am I going to do with it? Should I take her on a holiday? And I remember the doctor saying, she's just going to be a stick in the mud, which is absolutely true because you can't stay still either. It's like you're all hyped up. Where are you? You're not in the freaking moment. I promise you, you are not in the moment. So 101 training with the timelining, and I know it's really good if you guys do go on to learn more about this because you're learning the reasons why we do timelining, and I haven't finished with the other reason with some of the guys that I've given stories about, but it's about being able to take control of your time and to understand that there are 3 elements of your time that you do. One of them is here and present. Just everybody put their feet on the ground, flat on the ground, and I want you to take your hands, and I'm going to get you set up for the first training that we're going to be doing. And I know I showed you something else, but I think it's good for you to see a couple of different varieties of this. So what I want you to do is I want you to know that on your right, you've got an index finger and a thumb, and I just want you to press it and look at it. Now, as you press it and look at it, I just want you to feel your fingers on the right and just rub those fingers, looking at them and just feeling into it, right? Now, just let that go. So now what I'm going to get you to do is take your hands and place it on your stomach, and I'm going to get you to take a deep breath in through your nose and hold it at the top and breathe out through your mouth. Drop your shoulders and just release everything. Now we're going to do that again. Take in a deep breath. Hold it at the top. And now release. This time I'm going to get you, sorry guys, I know you only like to do one thing at a time, just joking. I want you to put your tongue on the roof of your mouth. And I want you to have your hand on your stomach. I want you to close your eyes, and I want you to look up through the crown of your head while your eyes are closed. So looking up through the crown of your head. Very important this, because I'm going to teach you self-hypnosis as well. So as your tongue is on the roof of your mouth, your hands are on your stomach, and you're doing a few things at the same time. And now as you've got your tongue on the roof of your mouth, take a deep breath in through your nose, hold it at the top, and breathe out. Now open your eyes and stamp your feet just on the ground, just stamp your feet. I want you to feel a sensation of just energy moving, get into your feet. Now what I want you to do is I want you to grab your hands and I want you to really rub them together really fast. That's it. Rub them together really fast, really fast, really fast, really fast, even faster. Feel the hands. Feel your hands as you're feeling it, right? And as you're doing that now, in a moment when I count to 3, you're going to separate them so that they're just about 2 inches apart from each other. And 1, 2, and 3. Now just feel that. Can everybody feel that vibration? And this is vibration. I'm just creating it for you so you understand. Now just bring it into yourself. And I want you to know you're probably very present right now. I am good at getting people present. I mean, when I was sitting with this guy, and I know he's probably going to be watching this because he's now a member, he's totally flipped, like loves it. He was very nervous, as it's normal to be, especially when you're, seeing a woman therapist or whatever you want to call me, and with the, personal issues and things like that. But with neuro-linguistic programming and hypnosis, the magic is I don't need to know. You don't need to tell me, because my job is to help your super consciousness do all the work. And, the story about the rabbit that ran away with the cockatoo that had an affair with the budgeroo down the road is not necessary, right? What is necessary is the energy attached to that. So even though the energy here, whatever that is, you'll find that on your timeline, if you've got patterns, anybody got some sabotaging patterns where they find them, it's either something you do, which is more like a pattern of an addiction, or it's something that seems to happen over and over in your life. So, oh my gosh, same relationship or same situation. Can anybody relate to that? Yeah? Okay. Why is that happening? The reason that happens is because it can. But I hate to say it, but Richard Bandler, the founder of neuro-linguistic programming, would say you've become very stylistic at that, haven't you? Because you kind of like become almost used to doing it. Even pain, do you know that physical pain is a habit? And did you know also, I just want to tell you this story because I know there's a few people in the room that suffer a bit of physical pain. Did you know everything that happens to you happens for a reason, including physical pain? Now, the other day, I was standing on my bed trying to crazily hang some clothes that were on hangers on the curtain so they were dry because it had been raining, right? And it was actually this jacket. And I had to have it dry, so I went, and you can't believe it, in slow motion, because you'll find that when bad things happen, suddenly time slows down. Funny that. And I literally, luckily I've got this brain that's, you guys would understand, it's very au fait at being able to take control in these situations. And I went for a big dive, flat on my face. And my big toe took the whole brunt and went, and I was absolutely, it was agony. But of course, I said to myself, what's the purpose that happened? Because I tend to ask myself that question a lot. And I realised I was in so much pain, all this shit I had been thinking about had gone. I suddenly wasn't thinking about all my problems and what I have to do about it. And I'm wicked for doing that anyway, so I should know better. But you've got to get to know your brain and where you end up and what you're thinking of, because your thoughts will run away with the spoon, I'm telling you. So you've got to be able to take control. But I'll tell you what, when I had that sore toe, I couldn't think about anything else. So, I can see if anybody's dealing with anyone that I know in coaches, healers and leaders that are listening online, if you happen to be dealing with people, especially teenagers that cut, this is the reason. They don't even know that. But when you allude to the fact that they're actually doing that, did you know even tattooing is addictive? Anyone got tattoos here? No? You've got tattoos. Did you know that it's actually quite addictive? And some people love the feeling of it, love it, right? I'm still tempted. So, you know, the simple fact is that when you take physical pain, it takes all the emotional. It's kind of a block. It's kind of a strategy. So you've got to learn how to use your subconscious and go, that's the reason. What's the higher purpose here? So, you know, when I went back on the timeline, and Jane's timeline, as you could see, was very clear. It was future out there, past behind, present is here. That's not usually how you get someone else. It might be on top of them and overwhelmed, and it might be all around them, swishing and swirling. They don't know that. They don't know that. Of course, they don't know it. But when they think about it, everything's just everywhere. And so then when you kind of reconstruct it, what happens is everything kind of starts to move into a sequence where you feel more orderly. You feel like you can think clear. You can do things and bend time in a way that is quite incredible. So let's just do a little snapshot of this before we start on our first training. So everyone close your eyes, and I want you to think about any problem that you may be having that you know that, you know, we're not going to talk about it here, that's okay. And I'm not a mind reader, not most of the time. So just bring up a problem that maybe you've been thinking about a lot recently. Maybe it's something that's been on your mind. Now, what I want you to do is I want you to firstly get that problem and put it to where it began. So I want you to throw that behind you in your past. Just imagine it's way behind where perhaps you may have started thinking about the problem or wherever that was. So now as you place that in the past, I want you to think about when you were last really kind of thinking about it a lot, apart from now, but when that was, and I want you to imagine that's just behind you. Now that you've got it right behind you, I'm wondering if there is an element of what you would prefer. So the preference of a resolution, let's go with a resolution, shall we? What would that resolution look like so that you don't have to have this in your head anymore? Would you be more empowered? Would you be more confident? Would you have the skill set or a certain resource to be able to really knock it on the head? And I want you to imagine that you're going to quantum leap to where in a place and a space in the future where you're no longer going to have this issue anymore. And so what you're going to do is you're going to imagine, because let's face it, you can't really go out in a time machine into the future. So your superconscious is going to do so instead. So by doing so, I want you to imagine that you stay here in the seat and your subconscious rises up. Now, the way you can allow this to happen is just notice your subconscious is looking down at you in the chair. Now, this is what we call a disassociated position. It's really good when I'm teaching coaches how to deal with trauma. So also pain, like I was telling my sister how to deal with this. So you're up above, and in her case, she was having an injection. So I told her to go up above the doctor or the dentist or whoever it is, and then imagine that you're watching and you're taking control of that person who is actually doing this. So this is a dissociated but controlled situation. So now that you're in this situation above, just notice yourself on the chair, just notice how you're sitting, notice your hands, notice what you're wearing, and then I'm going to get you to float out into the future. And I want you to pick a specific time of when you would like this to be resolved and you are completely clear and on the other side of it. And maybe you don't fully know all of the resources. They may not be inside you fully yet. but I'm going to help you achieve that today. So I want you to gather a recipe. So I'm going to say a few words to help you, and not to say that these will be yours, but just to give you some inspiration. So what is it that you will have? Will you have more self-worth, self-love, self-connection, and therefore you'll be able to give it to others? Because you can't give away anything you haven't got. Will you have a sense of significance, like, you know, I'm important, and knowing that you have this importance, not in an arrogant way, but in a very human-needed way where everyone needs to have a feeling of importance and significance? Would you, on the other hand, have certainty, like you would be in this rock-solid, confident certainty? I want you to imagine that as you are thinking about this, maybe you've got more peace, maybe more joy, maybe you're playful, maybe you're in this playful kind of, way about yourself. And so as you think about the playfulness or the certainty or the significance, importance, or the love and connection, or the peace, or the joy, or something else that you want, I want you to notice now, how do you stand? How do you stand when you're encapsulated in this? What are you kind of wearing? What's your posture like? I want you to hear yourself talking like, you've got this really locked inside you. What do you hear yourself saying? And what maybe are others saying to you? Are you assertive? Are you empowered? How do you come across? And then what about love and connection? How do you behave when you feel that complete piece of love and connection? Now, as you begin to think about all these things, you don't have to have it perfect at this stage, depending on where you are in this, but I want you to notice that you're looking at yourself. Now, as you're looking at yourself, I want you to know that everything I train you with today, you're going to be able to learn it very quickly because of this little experience and all the stories that I'm telling. So as you look down at yourself and you see what you're wearing, notice your posture, notice the sound of your voice. Notice now you're going to feel into it to the best that you possibly can. And if you remember the little code I gave you before between rubbing your index finger and your thumb together, I'm going to give you that cue of when to press that. So on the count of 3, I'm going to count you down 3, 2, and 1. Now be inside it. Now firstly look around. I can see Jane's ready to go, but you've got to really bring this whole feeling up. I want you to make it as bright as you can. I want you to vibrate in it. I want you to imagine that it is so good. It is so real. I want you to hear what you're hearing, see what you see, feel what you're feeling. Whereabouts in your body is it? And I want you to now press that index finger and the thumb. Right hand side, by the way, everyone. Right hand, index finger and thumb. That's it. And let go. And just float back up again because I want you to get into the practice of doing this. So as you rise up, we're just going to have another look. Now, you might be able to imagine you're turning it up. So you're exaggerating it. You're making it more colourful. You're making it more bright. You're adding more sound to it. And you're going to really turn up the vibration. So the vibration is going to be like this total frequency that's going to go through every cell of your body. And I'm going to float you down into it. 3, 2, and 1. Now feel into it. See what you're seeing. Hear what you're hearing. And when you can really feel that, I want you to anchor that again. Go ahead, right hand, index finger, thumb, and feel it like it's like now it's amplifying off and you can hear it as you feel it and as you see it. And I want you to just now relax. I'm going to do that one more time just for practice. So rising up, seeing yourself looking empowered, noticing your posture, noticing how you look, feel here. And I want you now to get ready to step down into it again. Only this time, you're going to imagine a colour exploding through you that emulates all the good resources. You're going to hear a sound, whether that is the sound of a buzz or a bird or water or even your own voice, whatever that is. So floating down 3, 2, and 1, and feel inside you what you're feeling, hear what you're hearing, see what you're seeing. Now anchor it off and press that index finger and thumb and let the colour explode. And just notice the colour. Make sure you've got this colour, guys. Have it bright, make it bold, make it so incredibly intense. And now just allow yourself to relax, float back up and come back to the chair. Okay, so now that you've got that, that's a little bit of timelining going out into the future. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go over to any questions before we begin. So anyone got any? Okay, has everybody got one of these little books? So what I'm doing is I'm actually creating technique by technique as we go along, rather than overwhelming you with. What I've done is I've given you this kind of an overhaul on timeline therapy, how you do time, some of the elements of, you know, even with that regards to putting the finger and the thumb together. Does anybody want to know why I did that? Does anybody, okay, does anybody interested to know why I'm doing that? Okay, Jane, would you like to tell the class?
You're anchoring a state.
Yeah, anchoring a state. Now, this is the 101 of NLP. So if you learn how to put people into a better state, you will pass the first element of NLP. That's really your job. There are ways that we teach you to do that so that you are helping people to elicit into a better state. And I mean, imagine if everyone was in a good mood all the time. And imagine if you could help a person break away from a bad mood, or anyone had a rant or where someone else has been ranting. Imagine being able to break that cycle of the rant and pace them, lead them, and then be able to get them to kind of not disregard. The number one rule is, as a coach, you have always got to be on the side of the subconscious mind. And that means you have to as well. So if someone is, for example, hooked up in a drug addiction, if they are doing something that is self-sabotaging, they've got a pattern that they don't like, they're overeating, whatever it is, you've got to, as the person influencing the other person, you've got to remember they are not their habit. They are not their parts. They are not any criminal activity for anyone that's dealing in that kind of a dimension. People are not what they do. They were born as a soul. And so therefore, when you come to understanding, because that takes away the judgment, it removes all judgment, and it gives you this incredible rapport, like this incredible, powerful rapport with people. And, you know, when they're saying something, you know, like, I really understand this is what you're going through. But one of the things you've got to really deeply know is that everybody is doing what they're doing at a subconscious level because there is a higher purpose. But the fact is, you know, and they know that they want to change it, right? They want to change it, but you cannot change it until you embody it and accept it and embrace it. That is, you know, the 3 E's right there. You know, embody, embrace, and what was the other one? So, yeah, you've got to be able to, you know, really acknowledge it. Don't try and run away from it. Don't try to reject it. You've got to be able to go, this is what's happening here. There's a reason for it. Even if you feel like a victim, What's the purpose in this? Where is it going to take you to in your future? Because that's what it's all about. So these tools that we're teaching you, and what the background of neuro-linguistic program is where two men, Richard Bandler and John Grinder, came together, and Grinder was a professor and Bandler looked like a scallywag, but anyway, that's okay. He's very good at what he was doing. And what they did is they did a study of the human mind. What was actually happening in a person's brain when they recovered from something? What was happening in their mind when they suddenly went through years of counselling and came out of it? So they studied some of the greatest people, and two of them was Virginia Satir and Sigmund Freud. And what they also came to know is that anything that anybody else can achieve, you can too. So if it's humanly possible, it is possible for you. So this is where we can begin to turn our minds into the arena of channeling, and channeling to fast track where you want to be. Like if there's that person who is a great athlete, what are they doing to achieve that? And getting into their kind of belief system, into their, and really just knowing that you can achieve human excellence just the way they do. And what's holding you back here, right? So Jane, you had a classic one the other day, and we recognised, is it okay if I share? Yeah. So you had, it was one around sabotaging your success in a way, and it was procrastination. Yes. And do you remember what it was kind of like, what was happening there?
It was overwhelmed, I think. It was as I move forward, I'm like, oh, feelings, without identifying feeling of not being good enough, not being able to do what I'm doing already to get to that success.
Yeah. So what did you do? What would happen?
I would just shut down, like literally just kind of just go ignore everything else.
Anybody else had a procrastination issue? And it's like, you know, where, you know, you're just putting it off. It's like, this happens for everything. So when we look at, hang on a minute, there's a purpose here. There is a purpose for you doing this. What you're doing is you're not trying to say, you know, like the do's and the don'ts of the parents now, don't you do this and don't you do that. And the parents are like, oh, the kids are like, talk to the hand, right? Because it's not getting through. It's not getting through. You've got to understand, like, even if a parent asks this child, what on earth is the reason you're doing that? Like, what are you thinking? These are the questions that you are so much better off to ask. Like, what made you do that? What was going on for you? Don't ask them why. Because if you ask them why, you'll take them down a rabbit hole. And they could tell you the story of every justification they can come out and think of. So the rules of the game is learn how to ask what. What is it you want? What is it that you don't want? What is the reason that you're actually holding yourself back? What are some of the feelings that are going on for you? What would you rather feel? See, what questions? Just what? And you'll find that there's a magic that happens by asking what. When do we ask why? When do we ask why?
When they come to their pain point.
Okay, so when's the only time we ask why?
When they've established what they actually want, and then why come. Yeah.
Bingo. So what Jane just said is that if I asked you, Matt, would you share what you would like to achieve? Perhaps even if it is out of the training that you're going to do, what would you love to achieve?
Success in my own business.
Success in your own business. Okay, that's great. So by achieving the success in your own business. So I'm going to ask you this rhetorically now. What is it that you would love to achieve? If you knew you could achieve something through knowing this, what would it be? So can I get everyone to write that down? So just write down, what is it that you would love to achieve? If the world was your oyster, we won't be keeping these blue books, by the way. It's you can keep these are yours, so you can write whatever you want in them. No one's going to see. So you can be free as a bird to write and share. If you need a book, it's just up there. So now I wonder how many people, as you're writing, are writing it as in what you want rather than what you don't want. And as you just continue to write whatever it is, you would be surprised how many people would come in and see me in clinic and I would say, so what is it that you want? Oh, I don't want to be stressed anymore. I want to stop overeating. I want to stop being exhausted and I want to stop the depression. I'm like, great. So you want to overeat, you want to feel depressed, and you want to be exhausted. I did not say that. I went, your subconscious mind just heard you say that. Because the word don't does not exist in the subconscious mind. So the only words it hears is the cue words. So rule number 1, has everyone finished writing down? Have a look at what you've written. And I want you to observe whether you wrote it in the positive or whether you wrote it away, something you don't want. Now, if you wrote it accordingly to what you don't want, raise your hand. Great. Wow, that's awesome, because believe you me, that's one breakthrough. So learn how to state with yourself and with others what you do want, rather than telling them what you don't want. If you want to tell them what you don't want, tell them that after you say what you do want, because that's kind of a really good art of communication. But what's more important is it gives you this incredible manifestation, okay? What you're doing is you're learning the lingo of the universe. So the universe only understands in cue words of what you say. So if you say, I want to feel depressed, it's like, give them depression. Oh, right. I don't want to feel exhausted anymore. Give them more exhaustion. So if you want to say, I want to feel happy, joyful, at peace. So now look at the words that you've written, and I want you to now explore what kind of energetic feelings are attached, e.g., excitement, peace, joy, happiness, contentment, fulfillment, pride. Doesn't have to be my words, by the way. So I want you to write down a word, energetic feeling that is attached to what you want. And when you have done that, I'm going to ask you, like, would it be okay for us to perhaps share feelings? Would that be okay? We're not sharing content, we're only sharing feelings. If I can get okay, are you okay to share, Jane? What is the feeling that came up for you?
Excitement.
Excitement. Matt?
Fulfillment.
So we've got excitement. Ian?
Functional, motivated life.
Functional?
Motivated life.
Motivated. Trish? Joy? Huh? Health. Health. Healthy. Say, I am healthy. I am healthy. That's the other thing too. When you are stating affirmations, don't say, I want to be healthy. Say, I am healthy. I am getting healthier every single day. Right? So, your name? Sue. Sue?
Andy.
Andy, what's yours?
I got pride.
Nice. Okay. All right, guys, are you ready? You ready for the emotional intelligence? I mean, this, I told you it's fundamentals. 101. You can't put someone into university if they haven't gone through kindergarten and primary school, right? So the feeling, look at the feeling you've written down. Just have a look at it. What does it feel like to have that? So we're going a bit deeper here. What does it feel like to have pride, or to be healthy, or to have joy, or to be motivated, or to feel excitement? What does that feel like? So we're asking, we're getting to the feeling with the feeling. Just write that down. So what is the feeling around that? Feeling. Only one word, we only need one. Are you ready to share, Jane?
Joy.
Nice, okay, yeah. Matt?
Contentment.
Contentment. I must say, you like the fulfillment and contentment. Is he a peacemaker, Jane?
Yes.
I can tell. And Ian?
Oh,
I'm definitely not. I'm content.
Okay, that's okay. I just won't put it up there. Sue? Nice. Andy?
powerful.
Powerful. So in order to help a person to feel more powerful, you will be empowering them. Now, this is how it goes, and I know I started talking about the cases where people do go out in the world and they help according to their soul purpose, which is like what I was saying about the coaching, the law justice system and different things like this. So what happens is the very essence of what you conquer in your life, you will become that guru. You will, your weakness will become your strength. Okay? Now, this is coming back to now what Jane and I were discussing before about the what question. So the what is what's going on, what do you want? That probably then you get to, once they tell you what they want, well, this is what I want. I want to be able to serve the world. I want to be able to impact thousands and thousands of people, and I want to be able to leave my mark and legacy on the world. That's when you can ask the next question. How would you ask that question?
I would repeat it back to you. So why would you like to leave your legacy on the world?
Beautiful. And she was great because she got the big thing at the end as well. That's a good question. Why? Now, usually this comes down to an emotion or a feeling, like because I want to feel a sense of significance. And then what would you say? Around the why.
Why you want to feel a sense of significance?
That's right. Why do you want to feel a sense of significance? Ask it again, but not with the question mark on the end.
All right. What would it be like to have a sense of?
Okay, so you just turned that around, which is great, but we're still on the why. So why do you want it? Okay, so why I want significance is because, you know, somewhere along the line when I was young, I did not feel like I had any significance at all. So I felt very undervalued. This is when we're striking gold, okay? Now, this can take up to 7 times you ask why. But the moment you get something where there is like a tangible experience, that's when it becomes the actual behavior, the manifestation. And that's when you can say, right, you want to be at the top here and you want that because that is what's happened to you. So that becomes your why. So this now leads me to the next part, which you guys are going to write down. You've written down what you want. You've written down the feeling. And now I'm going to ask you to say in your mind, so for example, if I say, I want to feel excitement and joy. Let's just say they were my 2 words, right? So reflect on yours, and if I want to feel excitement and joy, then what would that give me? What would that give me? Now, maybe more confidence, maybe more power, maybe more a sense of assertiveness, maybe more energy. So ask yourself the question, what 2 things that you've got on your piece of paper, what would that give you? Give you more of in your life? What would it give you more of? What would it enable you to do? What would you be able to do easier by having all these things? So think about that now. It's kind of like a recipe of the 2 feelings and what it is that you would be able to do more easier because of it, whether it's physical, spiritual, emotional. Now, as you look at what it is that you want to do and what it is that you want to feel, what you're going to feel, and what this is going to mean for you, and what this is going to give you, and how this is going to make your life easier, here's the big $64 million question. What is it that is stopping and blocking you from having that right now? What is it that is stopping and blocking you? E.g., lack of motivation. I'm going to go here. Lack of sense of maybe feeling dragged, low energy, maybe sabotaging, maybe exhaustion. Maybe not being able to, achieve what it is that you want to achieve. When you feel that you've got what is stopping and blocking you, I'll just get everyone to kind of understand that and write it down, what is stopping and blocking you. There might be a few things. What does that feel like? This is the next step. I want you to write that down. What does that feel like to be kind of held back in that way? What does that feel like? Jane, would you like to tell me what that feels like?
It feels like failure, like being unsuccessful.
Okay, failure. Matt?
Sorry,
What does it feel like to be stopped and blocked in that area? Yeah, complete failure, okay. Ian? What does it feel like? Useless. Trish? Self-doubt, yep. Sue? Yep. Andy? Frustration. Okay. Now here's the next big $64 million. How does it manifest? Because see, what happens is, first it's the feeling that comes from the thought that impacts you, but what is it then how does it manifest? So does it cause you, like some people might overeat, they might find themselves getting triggered They might find them turning to a certain addiction. They might find them what they're like when they're not motivated, or what you're like in that position of what you're putting down, right? You don't have to tell me about that. So for a matter of time, we just need to work out what is it that you do. Generally, how do you do that? Like if someone says, I procrastinate, well, how do you procrastinate exactly? Well, firstly, I lay on the couch, then I tell myself this story, it's okay, I'll do it tomorrow. Or maybe, what is it that is the behavior? That's the real crux. So write it down, what the behavior is, and then we're going to have a break, a short break. So we're going to go at 11. So did you want to perhaps make sure everything's ready there, and then I'll send everyone up to the, should we do it that way? Send everyone up to the kitchen?
Yeah.
I'll
check everything.
Yeah.
Do you want me to make up drink now or for later?
Yeah, we'll do that. We'll have that later, but you can perhaps do that. Yeah. Okay, so has everybody written that down? You won't be missing anything because we're ending on that note, Trish. So yeah. Okay, so now that you've written it down, so what you're doing is you're becoming very, not only like, I'm not doing just therapy here, but I'm getting you to understand how I do it and what I do when I'm ascertaining, so you know the what questions. So you've got what you want and you've got what it is that's stopping and blocking you now. And you've also learnt that everything really is about the visual, audible, kinesthetic. So the visual, audible, kinesthetic is you are feeling the feelings that you feel. So the way you feel when you're high energy, high excitement, high feeling of pride is going to be a whole lot different to when you're feeling that other feeling, that other crappy feeling, okay? You're going to breathe different, you're going to process different, you're going to think different. See, there's a certain way of thinking when you're successful, and there is a certain way of thinking when you are sabotaging. So what you want to do is you want to be able to take control of that. And by having these skills, that is a very powerful thing, don't you believe? Like that if you can take, just even understanding what's going on is extremely helpful. So what I'm going to do is just go over to questions before we head out for just a refreshment. So, a lot of people, if you look at your, what you've written down, when you think about what is holding you back, what is stopping and blocking you, you'll know that there are feelings that surround that, like feeling maybe bored or lacking confidence or feeling useless or feeling whatever it is, uncertain or feeling, depressed, whatever that happens to be. But then following that, there quite often will be a manifestation. Now, whether it is an obvious one that you think you may utilize, like it could be an addiction to something, right? So obviously addictions are, a big thing, but an addiction is no different to a pattern, and we're all addicted creatures. That's just how we are. So quite often people get concerned about hypnotherapy because they think, oh, is this mind control? I teach it. I was very fastidious about the school of training I did it with because I wanted to make sure it was done in the most credible way, and that's where you give the client the tools, where they are in control and they have the resources to really go forward. And when you start learning these things, I don't expect you guys to learn everything in one sitting here. However, you'll come to know that when you are aware that there are things that you do want in life and there are things that are holding you back, you become very, very empowered. And then, well, come to think that, I do procrastinate, or I do turn to alcohol, or I do smoke cigarettes, or I do overeat, whatever that is, right? So generally speaking, what happens is that we go ahead and behave in that way, and we sense, like, let's take alcohol for a great example. If someone overdrinks, they generally don't get addicted to being drunk or literally falling down and, feeling like a fool the next day. That's not what they're addicted to. They're addicted to the very beginning of the thought of alcohol and what that means. Like, what does that, mean to you to be doing that? And generally speaking, in my experience, it's usually the one glass, the first glass, not the one glass, but the first glass that they're very attracted to, because it's giving them it's like a cigarette, right? People are addicted to smoking. It's like that, they don't recognize this, but there is that element. But by the time they get to the butt, I mean, they've smoked it all, or if they've drunk it all, but that's not what they're addicted to. So even with addiction, you can timeline yourself when you become really good at this. And as I said, I'm going to do timelining in our next training session. But just to give you an example, so when we say taking someone and releasing them from that addiction. So my client last week, so he had that specific pattern he wanted to get rid of. Or you might have something, what you've written down, what you do, the way that you feel, or whatever that is, right? So what we do is we take you back on your timeline and we look at where that connects to where it began, like the stuttering, like what I was saying before in the teaching, where it began, and we dissolve it. We dissolve, clear, and release it. But you've also got to be in a position where, in order for you to change something, you've got to be set free of it, right? How do you get set free of it? Well, we'll go more deeper into this, but we go back before that actually started. So you have the same DNA, the same blueprint. Now, this goes for pain. If a person, I've dealt with people that have had a lot of physical pain, and, like one lady had a car accident, and we went back to before the accident. And this stuff is so powerful. And it's like getting the DNA of that and the memory and really bringing that together, like even with cellular repair and things like that, or say having a great body, going back to that moment when you had a great body, or going back to that moment before you were addicted. Now, what if you've got something written down where you actually want to do something and you want to start something new? How do you then find a resource if you've never done it before? That's the question, right? So if you've never been, so we're talking about, obviously, if you were addicted to alcohol or you're addicted to being angry or whatever that was, there was a moment before that when you weren't. And that's what we've got to find. If you have something where, well, I want to be this great musician, but I've never been a great musician before, what you then do is you begin to look at what you need to release in the negative thought pattern, like I'm not good enough, I'm going to fail, I'm going to get laughed at, I'm going to feel all this fear or whatever that is, that judgment. And what we do is we dissolve it, right? So when you are looking at, just quickly, briefly, let's just say an alcohol thing, or a cigarette thing, or whatever thing, or something that's tangible, even a food thing, where if you eat at night, like at 10 o'clock, and you gourmandize with chocolate, have a look at the end. So your brain will be telling you, go ahead and have that chocolate or have that, do that thing. But the moment you catch yourself doing that, and we do this so it's permanent, by the way, so this is not permanent for you, this is just showcasing, you would then go to the end of it and think about the end, like maybe the next morning, or how you would feel after at the end of it. You know, like when you're doing the bad thing, they say it's like Kentucky Fried Chicken. It's like the thought of it's good, but then it feels like yuck once you've gone ahead and you've eaten all that stuff because it's all greasy and, you know. Whereas it's like on the opposite side of the scale, you know, people that procrastinate against going to the gym or doing the right thing, but they actually go ahead and do it. Well, if they think about the end, they'll go ahead and do it. So timelining yourself is very powerful. You can utilize it. I'm not sure whether, does that make sense? So go to the end of it, pick yourself up and go, okay, how do I want to be? And then remind yourself, actually, you know what? I don't have to quit drinking altogether here. But what about if I just had one glass? And then when you are having that glass, just be very mindful. And I'm going to teach you just this little piece here. It's a bit like food. Drink it, but drink it very consciously. And as you drink it very consciously, remind yourself what it is giving you and why you like it. And then say, thank you very much, but I don't need to go back and have another one. Now, if we were talking about food, you might be eating and go, oh, I want to have another plate. You know, I want to go back for seconds for that, right? Just say, okay, it tastes nice. Do I really want seconds? And give yourself the ability of maybe 5 minutes and make a deal with yourself. In 5 minutes, if I still want that extra lamb chop, if I still want that extra piece of cake, I'm going to honour myself and have it. But you see what we're doing is the rules are no rules. Because when you put rules on yourself, your inner subconscious becomes very resistant. So you've got to, the job of you being a really great self-mastery coach is to pull that wall of resistance down and understand the reasons you're doing it, even the sabotaging feelings that you've had. So now, what I was talking about before in the very beginning is if people go through NLP practitioners, there's a whole variety of different methodologies. And there's only one thing you really need to know, and that is how to change a state. So a state, what am I talking about when I say a state? That Melbourne, Sydney, a feeling. So what does that mean when I say change a state from what to what?
So you might be feeling anxious, a lot of people get anxiety, massive anxiety attacks, going from an anxiety attack thank you, to feeling calm. Peaceful.
Thanks very much, Ian. That's called great state, by the way, everyone. I mean, I do that when I'm usually at the end of a session with someone and I'm making sure the addiction is gone, and then I'll do something crazy like that. But anyway, go on.
So yeah, so breaking, say a negative feeling or negative emotion and turning it into positive.
Right, yes, that's exactly right. So, okay. And, you know, what we need to do now is look at these, how do we create states? So if we go to states of empowerment, anchoring in NLP. So what we want to do here is we want to recall 3 powerful memories. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to ask everyone here to remember the 2 words that you said. Do you remember the 2 words that you guys said? You've written it down, right? Now the 2 words that you've said doesn't equal when you think about the human need, does it equal love, connection? Does it make you feel more like, you know, that love and connection? Does it give you more significance and importance? Or does it give you more certainty, confidence? Now, if you were going to, it's like a toolkit. We're really talking toolkits here. This is actually more the beliefs, value side of things. Like you've got all the feelings, but so when you look at it, I'm going to go around the room again this way. So what were your two words again, Jane?
Excitement and peace.
Now, by you having excitement and peace, like when you really go into those feelings, would you connect it more with love and connection, significance and importance, or certainty and confidence?
Comes down to certainty and confidence.
Okay, so that's certainty and confidence, okay? Matt, your two?
I continue.
Yep, and does that give you love and connection, significance and importance, or certainty and confidence?
More certainty. That's what I'm saying.
I don't know why, but I'm getting something else here. I want you to think about it like contentment and fulfillment. Contentment and fulfillment.
Pretty more love.
Yes, that's what I'm getting. I hope you don't mind me intuitively up on that, but that's what I'm definitely, especially because of the peacemaking and all of that stuff. Not to say, but do you feel that that's right? Because I don't want to go putting words into your head, but do you feel that you have a sense of that? Okay, cool, excellent. Ian?
Functional motivation.
Which one do you reckon that links into out of those three?
Probably it's
Do you feel like more love and connection, more significance and importance, or more certainty and confidence in having what you?
probably more certainty and confidence.
Okay, cool. Trish?
I said content, which I initially would say love and connection,
Mm-hmm.
but then also I think it can also be certainty and confidence as well.
Okay, so do you remember what you said for, I'm going to show you guys how to kind of tap into it a little bit for yourselves.
As I started out with joy.
Go into your feeling of what you want. Just read to yourself. You don't have to read it out loud, but what you desire, you got that? Okay, now if you get stuck, what will that give you? That will be a confirmation in case you don't know. So would that give you love, connection, significance?
Give me certainty and confidence.
Okay, so there we go. Yep.
Energy and healthy. Certainty.
Yep. Well, this is a popular one.
Mine was pride and powerful, which I think lends itself to the second one most based on the words, but the actual reasoning that I get that is more to do with love and things.
Right, that makes sense. Okay. So when you look at what you've written down for your desire, like what you want, which one do you reckon that would tap into?
It's love and connection.
Awesome. Fantastic. Okay, you've got it. So guys, now you understand your value, what your value is here. And also, I'm going to now hit you up with something else, and this is how you know if this is right. I want you to think about a time in your life that has really, really upset you. Now, it's upset you, and maybe it's on the other side of the board where you felt one of those things. And the question that I would have for you is, if you looked into that very deeply, which one of these things would have been taken away from you? Like, when you really think about it, love and connection, significant and importance, your certainty and your confidence. And by actually coming to understand that concept, that is kind of like also wrapped into the, what's that about, Jane?
Oh, can't breathe properly.
So really?
It triggered me so bad.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Yes, because it's, yeah, that's right. Because what happens here is you're really delving into where that value has come from, because the value has come from actually something that was possibly in your mind taken away from you, or something that you didn't have. That means a lot to you, and then it means even more to you. You know, when you think about something you really want, and then it becomes more meaningful. So this is kind of all intertwined with your value system and what that kind of feels like, and obviously what is stopping and blocking you. And then now you know that when it comes to why you want what you want, it's linked into these human needs. One of these human needs is going to give that to you. So now it's time to look at the recipe. So we're going to make a recipe for you. And the recipe is going to ensure that it's going to use visual, audible, and kinesthetic. And that is around, remember what I said before, what you see, what you hear, and what you feel. But what we want to do is we want to create the state that is going to, A, bring you into these feelings, right? Now, that's the first thing. And the second thing is you've got to understand that these feelings, you want to dilute the blocks. You want to start dissolving and diluting the blocks. So what we're going to do is we're going to firstly get everyone to set up an anchor. Now, we've already kind of half done that, and that is with your finger, your index finger, and your thumb. So we're not going to fire that off yet, but what we're going to do is teach you it. So I want you to all close your eyes down shut, and I want you to think of the word that you've written down that was good, the powerful word, the energy word, whether that was excitement, fulfillment, motivation, joy, health, pride, contentment, control, energy, power, or maybe it's something else. I want you to just think about that. Now I want you to think about how that feels, what that feels like. Now I want you to just notice what it's going to give you when you have it. Like, what's it going to do for you? Now you're going to look at this on a movie screen so you can be really objective about it. And as you see what it is that you feel and what you want and what it's going to do for you, I want you to notice that it's giving you more of maybe love, more importance, more certainty. But what I want you to do is I want you to imagine that you are going to see that, and the colour that is resonating with those beautiful feelings is going to come up for you, and I want you to float all the way into that movie screen. I want you to float into that picture, and it doesn't matter if that picture's not vivid, it doesn't matter, because your subconscious mind is doing all the work. I want you to notice how it feels in your body, where you feel into your body about it, what you're hearing, what you're seeing, what you're feeling. And then as you begin to rise it up, as you begin to make it stronger, I want you to anchor that right hand. And I want you to bring it out so it's very far apart from your other hand and fire that off. That's right. Now come back out again. So you're coming back out and you're in this position where you're just the observer. Now what you're going to do is I want you to allow your memory to take you back. Just relax your hands and get your memory to recall a moment where you felt this. Now, this could have been when you were in school. It may have been you won something, maybe you achieved something, maybe something happened for you. And I want you to think about a time when that feeling was with you. And as you think about that time that feeling was with you, and a time that represents that particular feeling, I want you to bring it up on the movie screen, seeing yourself in that movie, seeing yourself in that scenario, and float all the way into it. And as you float into it, I want you to anchor it into your right hand, feeling it, feeling those feelings, noticing what you're doing when you're feeling this state, noticing the love, the connection, the significance, the importance. That's right. And now float out of it. Now you're just sitting there and the screen is blank, and now another movie is coming on the screen. This time it is attached to the second energetic word you said, the positive one. And I want you to cast your memory back to a time when you felt this good, where you felt that energy. And what I want you to do is I want you to get ready to float into that scene. And as you float into that scene, you're going to kind of allow your body to remember and recall that moment where you can bring up the feelings, the sounds, and all of what you see, hear, and feel. And now anchor that right hand with the index finger and the thumb and just set it off and feel that beautiful feeling within. And now imagine your shoulders are coming right back. Notice your body is strengthening. Notice your energy. I want you to now pump that finger, and like every time you pump it, it is bursting with more energy. It is now rising the frequency. It is bringing up the power. It is bringing up all the resources in you of excitement, fulfillment, motivation, joy, health, pride, contentment, control, energy, power, and feel it. And now set it off again, and set it off again, and set it off again. And now open your eyes and come back to where you are on the chair. Now, just to make sure, so can you see what I've just done, everyone? So I've got you into doing this. Now, if someone was wanting to be a Darren Brown, which is one of those, I don't know whether you've ever seen him on YouTube, he knows how to do this stuff. He's got the side of that, but he knows how to do it really, really fast. So, for example, if you're picking up a chip, not that I teach this stuff, but obviously it's about knowing where to be able, how to actually spatially anchor them. Like, what was it that, what did you do yesterday? Oh, I did so, was it fun? Yeah, okay, blah, 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 blah. And as you're talking to them, you kind of like, we always say to keep right side positive so you can remember, especially if you're a coach. And then like maybe a little flick on the elbow or a flick on the, and it's like, yeah, and then you start talking about something else, and then they're really happy and they're breathing that up and they're feeling good and they're feeling that certainty, and just a little tap. And then if they are then going into another scenario where, this is not so good, you tap them on the right hand side. But when you do this, you want to come up here, Jane, so it can be the demonstration. Face aside. So basically, what you just put in, right? So you put in the energy. What was the energy again? Excellent. Yeah. And what do you reckon it tapped into? Excellent. Okay, but I've already anchored. Hang on a minute. Sorry. I've already anchored in Jane on her shoulder here. So I know that that's already, but I went like that, or just like that, so it's not intrusive. Okay, so now, what is it that the feelings that we're holding back? Procrastination, okay. So now that I've done that, I'll do it here. So procrastination, and, can you see how that's held back? So the fact is that when you go, and I'm just going to come behind Dave here, when you go suddenly like you've got the addiction, the pattern, the negative, the whatever it is, and you tap this, when you do this, you are firing off that and you're releasing. See, that's releasing. So, yeah, so you've got the negative pattern, you've got the positive one. That's like neutralizing it. And then lifting off that left side. So that's changing it, okay? So even if you were trying to get a child out of a bad mood, you could remember little nuances like where you tackle when they're happy, you know, and it's okay. And when they said, oh, it's okay, right? Because that helps it. But of course, I'm teaching the therapy model, and so that's what we're thinking. Right. So is everybody ready to anchor themselves and fire off some anchors here? Yeah? Anybody want to ask any questions before we get up on it? So we know that what is stopping and blocking you comes around between your behaviours, what you're doing, what you believe, your identity, and we now want to identify your negative state. So what I'm going to get everybody to do is I'm going to get you to close your eyes and I'm going to get you to be objective. So you're in a disassociated situation, there's a screen in front of you, and I want you to close your eyes and see yourself on the screen in that state. Better not to have your legs crossed, anyone, or your hands together. Don't even put your hands together, that's better if you can hear. So now, as you look at that movie screen, notice how you are, what that's like. Notice what perhaps is happening for you, what you're doing. Notice how it's impacting you. Now, maybe you may also be able to notice that it's really trying to help you at some level, because it wouldn't be there otherwise. Maybe it's trying to protect you. Maybe it's trying to support you in some way. But this is the part where you can let go of it if you're ready. So I want you to be able to see that old way of what you've been doing. Notice when it happens. Where are you when it happens? Like typically, what environment triggers the things that are? Perhaps what are you wanting to do that is kind of holding you back? Notice what kind of feelings you feel, or also your behaviours. What does it cause you to do? Do you kind of trigger off? Do you do something that's habitual? Do you do something that is sabotaging? And as you notice these things, I want you to become familiar with that, but also come to understand that it's got a higher purpose. And the higher purpose that it has for you is now listening to you because it's ready to let it go now, isn't it? So what I'm going to get you to do is I'm going to get you to embody and embrace that so that you can see on that screen, and I want you to float on in. Float on into the way that you used to feel. Notice how you felt. Notice what it was like. Notice what you were doing. Notice how you were behaving. But notice you are remembering all these things that you used to do, didn't you? And what I want you to do is I want you to take your left index finger and thumb and squeeze it together as you feel that old feeling, the negative. That's right. And now just come back out, come back and float back to the chair and open your eyes. So whenever you are telling people to kind of come back, take a deep breath or whatever, you'll get your break in the state. But guys, you know this is not the first time you've been through that, because this is something that's been a habit for you. So what I want you to do is I want you to think in terms now that you're going to look at another moment of time where it's really obstructed your life. And I'm going to get you to close your eyes down shut and have a look at where it has impacted your life and the kind of feelings or when that was. So just closing your eyes down shut, looking at that movie, really noticing how it impacts you, really noticing what you do when this is going on, really noticing all of those things, and really understanding also that it had its higher purpose, didn't it? And now float into it, recognizing this, and just squeeze that left index finger again with the thumb. That's right. And now, as if you are just acknowledging it, just embracing it, and just really surrendering to it, I want you to float back out and come back to where you are in the chair, and once again open your eyes. Now, I wonder if you can think of one of the oldest moments of time in your life where you actually did have that situation. Might have been when you were a teenager, you might have experienced it when you were a kid, but I want you to keep your hands separate, please, sorry. I want you to shut your eyes again and look on the movie screen. Perhaps think now, if it was self-doubt or if it was a first time with an addiction, whatever it is, just notice, like, were you very young? Were you a teenager? Were you early 20s, like when this started, where you recall it? And I want you to just see that on the screen. And I want you to know that that was something that used to be. However, isn't it good to know that it's no longer? And even though it used to be like that, isn't it nice to know you're about to take control of it? And even though you're just looking at it from an objective purpose, maybe curious and just saying, isn't that interesting? And knowing what the higher purpose was. I want you now to get ready to really embrace that old part, knowing that you're about to dissolve here and release it now, isn't it? So go ahead and float into that movie of the youngest moment when you know you were going through something like this. It may have been a completely different scenario, a different day, but you know that it may have been an event that you didn't like. And then just press that. Press that in your left hand. And as you press that in your left hand, well done. And I want you to thank it. Thank it. Just say thank you to yourself. Thank you that you have taught me this. Thank you that you've been able to do this. Now just come back to the chair and open your eyes, and I want you to imagine now that you are going to go out to your future, and that might be tomorrow or the next day, where you're going to be a lot lighter about this. You're going to be a lot freer about this. You're going to be a lot more learned about this. You're going to be a whole lot more in control about this. And in order to be able to go out there and really feel like what that feels like, it's like you are making a bit of you're negotiating with yourself, with your subconscious mind. So it's almost like before we do this, I want you to, using your smart intelligence, to look at your future you and even go out and see your much further out future you and understand how what you have had to happen. Like it was like going through the army, it was like going through the police force, it was like going through a regiment so that you could actually get to there, but you couldn't go through just You know what I mean? Rainbows and butterflies, you need it to be who you are, to be able to make it stand in your life. So this is where you start correlating what has happened, where that's been, and what that's going to be. What the hell has that got to do with you out there in your future? And this is what I want you to really get into thinking about. So maybe we'll go a bit further out to your future, and this is going to be to the empowered you. That's the you where you've set up your anchor on the right-hand side and recalled it, but it's got to be vital, really, really strong. So close your eyes now and shut. So really what this is about is it's about you floating into your empowered state. But we're going to float up outside of your body and give you the ability to look down at yourself and look right across time and just notice that you are feeling all of those great feelings. And all of those great feelings, whether it is excitement, fulfillment, motivation, joy, health, pride, contentment, control, energy, power, whatever that is, just notice how you look and what you're feeling and how much it is giving you that connection with yourself, how much of an importance this is for you right now, and how certain you feel in your body. Now, as you look at it, how does your body look when you're in certainty? How does your face look when you feel love? What are you saying and how are you feeling when you feel significance and importance? Now, as you can bring all those recollected memories and place them as energetics into the future, you are going to be in your future with these new resources and new skill sets. So are you ready? We're going to float you all the way out. And like a golden light, I want you to get ready to float down into this amazing feeling. Notice it's coming from the very, very soles of your feet, moving upward, moving through every cell of your body. Now I want you to anchor your right index finger, and as you fire it off, just feel that strength, that vibration, and notice the color, notice the sound. Excellent. And now what I want you to do is I want you to float all the way out. Now I want you to go out even further into your future, even further than where you are. And you are applying this new empowered feeling to that old self that you used to be. And I want you to just trust yourself to know that you're going to drop into that feeling because you've already set up the anchor. So as you drop down into your future, I want you to press your right finger, press that, and just feel this color rising up. As you feel the color, hear the sound, know the vibration, that's right, and then rise up. Now we're going to go even further out. You are so far removed from that old self, so far removed, it's like an old movie that you once watched when you were a kid that you may never watch again. Yet maybe you know that was there, but it's now gone, and you now this empowered feeling. You've got these new resources. Drop down into it and fire off that anchor. Feeling the excitement, the fulfillment, the motivation, the joy, the health, the pride, the contentment, this self-control, this energy, this power. And with this empowerment, feel the love, feel the significance, feel the certainty, and really squeeze that in. That's right. And as you really squeeze that in, now rise up again so that you are now looking down. Now, if you feel this is good for you, I want you to drop the colour down and let the picture cement in so you know that you're going to keep it very affirmative. Now let's float all the way back to where you are on the chair, and I'll count you back to 1. 3, 2, 1, open your eyes. Okay, everyone shake out. Okay, so now what we're going to do is we're going to fire off the anchors. So this is where it becomes really fun. So now what we're going to do is we are going to, I'm going to firstly demonstrate it, and I'm going to demonstrate it with Jane. And we're going to be teaching it for the timeline on our next training, but I'm going to demonstrate it at a higher level. You guys don't have to remember this, but you're just going to watch the experience. Is that okay? Okay, come on. You're okay to do that? Yeah. Okay, so yeah, I think what I'll do is I'll turn you around so you're facing that way. Okay, so can I just get you to point to your future? Okay, and point to your past. Okay. Now, did you have the three kind of areas where you remember that you felt those triggers? Yeah. Okay, cool. Okay, so did you have those three kind of memories where you anchored it on, right? Okay, perfect, all right. So what we're going to do is we're going to take you back on your timeline, and we're going to get you to come back with me and I'll just take you by the here, so you don't trip on anything. The last person to do that. So just take a step back, and then take another step back. And what we're going to do is we're going to keep stepping you back until you go to before the first time that you began feeling it. Now just close your eyes. Now, I'm not sure how old you are here, but just get a sense of your age and everything else. Now, are you inside of this or are you outside? You're outside. Okay, so what I want you to do is I want you to just be outside, just come inside of it. And what we're going to do is we're going to conquer. All right, so I'm going to get you to walk forward now, Jane. You can open your eyes and move into another position where it is quite predominant. And notice the anchor. All right, and we keep going. And you are feeling this negative thing here as well. Okay, and then walk to your, is there any more left here? Okay, so walk to your present. And so even when you think about that, this is what happens, okay. So now what I'm going to get you to do is I'm going to get you to walk out into your future to where you are actually going to land, where you are activated and really achieving your goals. So just walk out to wherever that is. And let's just fire off. That's right, excellent. And what we're going to do now is we're going to merge you back, and I'll just take your arm. And as you merge back, you're bringing all of these things with you. That's right there. Okay. So now just you're in your present. Okay, beautiful. Thank you. Go and sit down, and I'll ask you a couple of questions. We're just going to do it sitting on the chair because we're going to teach you more on the timeline side of it next time. So, experience. How do you feel? Like now what I want you to do is I want you to feel the negative energy.
Yeah.
She's laughing. It's funny.
No.
Okay?
I know it's there. Like I understand it.
Yeah.
It doesn't bother me.
But it doesn't bother you. Has it changed?
Yeah.
So how did it feel before?
It was a weight before.
A weight?
Yeah.
Okay.
Weight in my chest.
Okay, and how is it now?
It's a different weight now. It's I guess before it was more like heavy, I can't breathe. And now to me it's excitement.
Oh, okay. So it's shifted from that to that. That's great. Okay. So now when we do this together as a group, it's going to be even more powerful. Okay. So guys, what we're going to do is, this is easy. So you're going to go into your negative side, and then you're going to fire off that negativity, and then you're going to press like it's going to look like this. And then it's going to look like that. You're going to fire the both up and let go of the left. So, ready? Let's do that. 1, 2, 3. So, I want you to float into the left and squeeze the left and feel how that felt. Notice what that used to feel like. Notice how that used to make you feel, what that did, and all the things attached. Now, at the same time, still holding that left, squeeze your right and squeeze it and let go of your left. That's it, beautiful. Okay, and now relax. And now we're going to do that again. All right, so shake out if you like. Yep, shake out. Okay, so left hand side. And now go to the right. Neutralize it and then release the left. Beautiful. Okay. And then just shake it off. Okay, and let's go that one more time. Go to the left, the old path that you used to do, and to the right, and whoosh. Fire that off. Very good. Okay, now just let all of that completely release. Fantastic. So now, any feedback? I'll get everybody to, so we can test it, let's just stand. And what I'm going to get everyone to do is put your shoulders right back, legs a little bit apart. So this is the power position. Now what I want you to do is look up with your eyes. And I want you to find that. Now I'm just going to ask you to bring your head back to, so your chin is just normal, like level, but your eyes are the only thing looking up. So looking up with your eyes. And I want you to think about that old negative thing. Think about it as much as you can. Now, as you're thinking about it as much as you can, drop your eyes all the way down, looking into the ground. So you're looking all the way down with that downward feeling. Now bring them up to the right ahead, straight ahead. Now turn them to the left ear. As you look to the left ear, I want you to imagine now that you're still trying to feel that feeling. Now I'm going to get you to turn to the right ear and really try to feel that old feeling. Now come back to the center. Now I want you to relax your shoulders and look up again, really trying to get into that old state that you were in. Try very, very hard. As you try very hard, drop your eyes down to the ground. Keep your head straight, that's it. Bring them to the center, then look to the left ear. Look to the right, look to the left ear again, look to the right. Don't forget to think about that feeling you used to have. You know that that was there, wasn't it? Now bring it to the very center, looking up and looking down, looking up, looking down, looking up, looking down, looking up, looking down, back to the center and to the side, to the side, to the side, to the side, to the side. Now this time, what we're going to do is remember the colour of your positive colour that we had. I'm going to get you, while we're moving our eyes, you're going to cascade that colour and you're going to press your right index. Leave your left one alone, remember? So, okay, now before you do that, I want you to make sure you're really trying to get into that feeling, that negative feeling. Really try your absolute hardest. Now look up with your head straight and close your eyes down shut and keep your eyes still looking up. Now, as you really think about that, drop your eyes down with them shut and then bring them to the centre and then bring them to the left ear, to the right ear, back to the left, back to the right, back to the left, back to the right, back to the centre, up and then down, up and then down, up and then down. Now I want you to bring the colour all over it, left to right, and I want you to squeeze that colour. Now squeeze it with the right hand. Don't forget to look up and down with your eyes and just keep going up and down anyway, and then left to right ear and back again, up and down, and just squeeze. Keep squeezing that right finger, and as you do so, just allow the colour to go all over, everywhere, just allowing you to step into that. Okay, all right, now come back to the place. And now I want you to look up and find that feeling. With your eyes open, look up and find that feeling as you're looking up. Find that feeling. And then sit down. Okay. Hands up if anybody could notice a shift in that feeling. Yep. Andy, can you feel it?
I can still feel the feeling, but I couldn't.
You can't get into it.
No, I can get into it. I'm almost permanently, so it's fine. It's more like the shift in it. Can you feel the shift in it?
Yes, very good. So may I suggest something that tells me a lot. So you've been dealing with something for quite a long time. So obviously there's even more deeper work you can do. Now you can go through this and like when I changed my life, when I shifted my life, I did it through doing the training. And this is what we're going to be doing. So next month we will be repeating this. But also if there's, well, from what I'm hearing, you've been in this kind of a situation for a long time, is that right? Yeah. So because you've been in this situation for a long time and in that feeling, you can feel that it's different, is that right?
I think I have more control over it. It's still present, but it's not going to be part of my future. That's what you mean by it.
Yeah. So you can feel a shift.
I can feel the unnecessariness of that feeling.
I like that. That's very good. You can feel the unnecessariness of that feeling. That's great. And this is just the beginning, right? So you will continue to integrate. And remember, you have this and then this. But if you are going to use this, remember to always neutralize that and let go of the left. And always stay on the right, like when you end it. Just do that. And that will be very, very resourceful. So well done. That's great. Now, just a question. Now, if I was coaching, I would then use my what words, but because we're obviously respecting everybody's, we don't have to go deep into anything here. So I'm going to ask you, what did that feeling feel like predominantly? What did it feel like?
The old feeling? It's kind of like a kind of layer over my heart, kind of constricting.
Okay.
Like a self-doubt.
Yep, so a layer over your heart of self-doubt. So what I just did then is, what did I do, Jane? A layer over.
Repeat it back to me.
I repeated it back to you. So repeating back to people what they've said helps them feel very understood. So with that layer over your heart that felt very restricting, Jane, what did you notice about my conversation in that?
You were using some hypnosis words, so and.
Yes, so I'm going to say it again so you can be really alert. So with that layer over your heart that was very restricting.
Past tense.
Okay, so do you want to explain the past tense?
Yeah, so what Terry's doing there is she's basically saying that feeling was in the past, it is in the past, it's no longer the current feeling.
That's the hypnotic.
Yeah,
right?
she's telling your subconscious that it's over, done.
So when we come back, you guys join us again, we'll talk about those hypnotic words, like even though you used to feel like you had that layer over your heart that was restricting, wasn't it? Isn't it nice to know that something that you can see is no longer necessary can now be changed easily, naturally, and effortlessly into power, pride, and a sense of love and connection. Kate, would you like to make some conscious competency, because it's good for your training as well. What did you notice about all of that kind of lingo that I've just used?
Apart from the fact that I love it so much, and it just seems so natural and easy when you do it. It's just like you don't even think about it, and I'm thinking, okay, what words? But yeah, it's very powerful because you're repeating his words, and in the context that he was using them, so they're unnecessary, and you can put it into a positive frame. So you're reframing the negativity into the positivity and using words that are pushing it into the past and saying that it's no longer in his future. So you're reaffirming his good anchors that, you know, he's now in the future, everything is perfect.
Yes.
All those things that were are now in the past.
Yes. So when you're pacing and leading from the mastery, well done, Jane, from the mastery of communication, you're saying, like, if you were in, say, like you're a manager and you had to manage all these people, and someone's having an argument about why they don't want to do this, or they're kind of really coming up against it, rather than you just like that. What you can do is say, okay, so you feel like that this is not right and you feel like this is not fair. And then there's someone like, yeah, she read my mind, or he read my mind, right? But they forgot that they said it, but you just said it back. And then they go, wow, they know that. But then their subconscious mind is picking up on that. And then so that is kind of pacing them by repeating. It's also recording. And then you're asking the what words, but then leading them is the part where Jane says, I led by using your language and leading you into, because notice that your language was pride and power, okay? And the sense of love and connection and certainty, confidence, or significance and importance. So does that make sense? So I won't teach on that all in now because we've only got 20 minutes left now. Have we got our drink ready to go? So I think I'll get that. Do you need Ian to help you bring them in? Do you want to go with Trish, Ian? You're all good? Okay, that's good. Okay. So now.
When you put those back to the first instance, you dealt with that whole nature change. There is in that first one, not really that. The smile, happy, the whole posture changed, everything changed on the first second, you through the 5 line like that. And you saw the edification of it, but the power of it was on the first one.
That's, that is exactly right. That is exactly what changed my life. Like, obviously, I'm not going to do this on a class, but, I wanted Jane, because Jane came and learned the technique one-on-one with me. And so what we generally do is we transform ourselves first, and then I train. So Jane's got these incredible skills to go forward with that. But I promised that I would show you that technique of what changed my life. And so we were dealing with some pretty big stuff. So when I went back on my time, and I remember my teacher doing that, oh my gosh, it was such profound change. It was extraordinary. So the next rule of thumb that happens once we've done this, because remember, I am talking to you guys from a mastery point of view, so I want you to kind of pick up something here that's going to really help you to go forward, is that you've got to be able to test, operate, test, exit. And test, operate, and test, exit means you're putting them into the same position. You're getting them to go into that old feeling they used to, which was the negative, and you're getting them to check that, right? Now, the last piece, and this is certainly one of the things that we have to work on more. I always say to people, for me, it's so much easier to relieve the trauma, to relieve the pattern, that's the happened in a sleep. Jane, Matt, anyone who's seen me will be able to tell you that. The part that really requires the client or the members' full undivided attention is recoding. And that's really up to, there's that piece of commitment and intention, because when we dissolve our trauma, once we tackle that specifically in a session, it's gone. I'm not saying you'll never feel any negative crap again, because that's impossible, but you will never feel the same way about that situation you actually did deal with, and anything connected to that along the way. I mean, obviously there's always new things, but at least you're not carrying it. Like, it's accumulation. If you don't deal with stuff, you carry, it builds up, builds up, builds up. So what you want to do is just let go of the baggage. Let go of the baggage. Now, please don't take a drink yet, everyone. Just take the glass, take the cup, and just hold it. Now, I want to talk to you about this before you take a drink, so you don't have to drink it if you don't want to. This is moringa, botanically the most powerful plant on the earth, and it's really good for energy, inflammation. It's really, really good. I mean, we swear by it. Dr. Reed is a chiropractor, and I'm going to let you speak on it just for a couple of minutes because we don't have a lot of time left, but just so people know what the moringa is about and why you give it.
I think it's got 35 plus different anti-inflammatory properties, 45 plus antibiotic properties. It's got 92 different essential I 5 years ago, I was the figures I couldn't close them before that because the arthritis and one of the chiropractor said significant. And I was getting sore on the other side from the elbow on the right because I was trying to sleep, keep it muscle up. And I was in agony, and we actually, I couldn't see the still last another 3 days down with this property. So I put the visits on the market about the same time we did this for this stuff. And I took it for 10 days for an evening, 3.5 days before the pain was gone. But I was taking it every day since then. Over the years, all the arthritis, fibrosis, and this was put that big because that's the last week I used to do.
So basically,
now I take it about once a month. Some went to India, got crook over there. One of them got.
That's a very interesting concept because this actually clears the water in India. That's so imagine what it does to your body. So everyone, if you don't want to take this, you don't have to. You may or may not like the taste. It's a little bit earthy. It depends on how much Trish mixed it up. But it's one of those things that if you take it, like when Ian takes it or when I take it, we just put it in a water bowl, shake it up, and then you drink it. Yeah. So just look at it, and I know it doesn't look like the greatest colour, but just look at it now, smell it. Now I want you to tell it what it's going to do for you when you drink, because it is from the earth, it's Mother Earth's plant. So what's it going to do for you? And just close your eyes, and I want you to put lots of love into it. Lots of love, lots of joy, lots of peace. And I want you to tell this plant, because it's enzymatically alive, what's it going to do for your body when you drink it? What's it going to do? How's it going to help you? And now go ahead and you can take a drink. And just enjoy that at your own leisure or not. If you give it a really, really, really good shake, it's not so groundy, but that's okay. When we were in Bali, I just came off a Bali retreat, so I do lots of retreats in Bali. And Jane's been on one of my retreats, and they're life-changing because you're sort of doing all of these things over a period of about 3 or 4 days, plus you're having massages, plus you are, yes, plus you are, you're immersing yourself into purification and clearing all of the old away and refreshing the new. So that is something that I do, and look, without sounding too relaxed about it all, I open up calendars for people to do that so that it suits the group, so that quite often, because I go back and forth to Bali all the time, I'm kind of really hung with the culture over there. So, I mean, it's nothing for me to be in Bali, like I could go next week. It's only 3 hours, it's like going on the Margaret River, so, you know, you're just sort of popping across over there. So it's a beautiful way of having a really good experience. But to close our seminar today, what I'd like you to know is that I have taped this, I've recorded this. So if you would like, we take back the books, not your book you've been writing them, but these ones, because we are adding to it. So we are building on these books. But if you do want to keep it and you want a recording of today, we're just charging, it's just over my cost. I mean, it's ridiculous printing and all that. It's $19.95 plus the recording. And what I'll do is, if everybody has put their email down, I'll just shoot you. It means you can take it home with you, but you also get the digital. You get the digital copy and you'll get the Zoom. You guys have got the whole thing, so you can just take yours because you guys are in practice, you're doing the training. Now, with every good practitioner, they will always make sure they're tested, operated, tested, exited. That's where you step in, you do the test, and then you step out. Now, what happens if they go, oh, like, Annie, you're a classic. We know we've made a lot of headway with you, but I also know that there's something that we can probably pull out by the root. Do you know what I mean? And that can be done quite easily. In fact, I'll just do that and it probably happens. Just joking, but not really. Not joking. So we know that that sort of thing happens, but what we now need to do is put your subconscious, because the subconscious your mind might be still going, what the, you know what I mean? It might be going, WTF, like, what's going on here? So you've got to kind of give it now that ability to test it, make sure it's good for you, and also to what we call lead and quantum leap period, so that you can become a really good manifestor. So this is really the true art of manifestation, okay? So is everybody ready to close with this little segment that's only going to take up 5 to 10 minutes, okay? So you can keep the cups in your hands. It's not going to sleep. It's not anything weird or wacky like that. I always say to people, if you do, it doesn't matter. That's fine, but it does not require you not to. I do give a disclosure though, if you do listen to this again on the playback, that you do not listen to this while you're driving. That's the only request I have. So that goes for my members listening and people who are training on the first sequence of NLP Hypnosis Mastering. So now, with no further ado, I want you to put your feet flat on the ground. I want you to take a nice deep breath in through your nose. Hold it at the top and breathe out. This time I want you to close your eyes down shut and roll your eyes all the way back in the top of your head. Take a deep breath in through your nose and breathe out. This time I want you to relax, put your tongue on the roof of your mouth. Now, when you are doing self-hypnosis, of course, I'm just going to teach you a very basic tool here. By you being in this breathing element with your eyes up, your tongue on the roof of your mouth, taking a deep breath in through your nose, and then breathing out. Is giving you the first tactic of meditation. Now I want you to know that the next part of self-hypnosis is now taking your eyes down, looking down as if you are looking down a staircase. And as you look down, I want you to see at the very bottom of that staircase, there is you, but you are in the most empowered space. And you are looking like you are looking high up, even as if you could be in the inside of a palace or on the outside. looking down and seeing the image of you. Notice how you are empowered. Notice how you are feeling so energized, so excited, so powerful, so proud, so joyful, so fulfilled, so contented. Notice that you have all the elements of joy, motivation, and the feelings of excitement, but you are looking down from the very top. And with this downward expression, I want you to now feel yourself floating on down the stairs. And I'm going to count you down. And now that you know that you could practice this meditation to yourself, simply closing your eyes down shut, looking up through the crown of your head, simply taking some deep breaths, and then dropping your eyes all the way down. And as you drop down, I'm going to float you down. But before we do so, I would like you to lift your left arm with your eyes closed and just levitate it. And just notice as you hold it up, just let it levitate of its own accord, feeling the heaviness, feeling the weight, feeling how that feels. And what you're going to do is control it by dropping it down slowly. And as you drop that down, deeper and deeper, slowly, easily, and effortlessly. And when it touches your knee, just drop into that beautiful, deep, deep feeling of relaxation. So isn't it easy to know that you can do this self-hypnosis simply by rolling your eyes up, taking a deep breath, looking down, then turning your eyes down, maybe lifting your arm and feeling the heaviness and then dropping it like you're letting go of a weight and releasing it. And then as you float down deeper and deeper, I'm going to float you down, and I'm going to get you in the back of your mind to count back from 199. I'm going to count back from 9, 8, as you just keep on counting back, 7, floating down those stairs, 6, moving toward that element of where you are feeling so good, 5, counting backward in your mind, 4, watching the numbers release and go by, 2, 1, and now drop down and let all the numbers you're counting back disappear. And now as you are now standing in your power position, I want you to notice that you are looking at a big movie screen and you are acting out as you are now in your new state. The new state of power, energy, fulfillment, excitement, pride, self-control, joy, fulfillment, excitement. I want you to notice that you are filled with love and connection. You are filled with significance, importance. You are filled with certainty, and just as you can easily and effortlessly now tune into that, I want you to test that this is going to be good for your life. I want you to now float into it and just see what this feels like. Maybe this is just a week out in the future, maybe a day. And as you test it, is this safe for you? Is this good for you? And if it is, I want you to agree by anchoring your right finger and thumb. As you anchor your right finger and thumb, you're saying, yes, this is safe, this is good, this is what I want. And then just release it and rise back up again. But I want you to float out to another time, maybe in the next 2 months, where you're still feeling this new empowerment and you're doing this instead of the old that you used to do. And isn't it nice that you can easily and effortlessly float down into this feeling of love, connection, power, energy, self-control, contentment, pride, health, joy, motivation, fulfillment, excitement. And if this is good for you, go ahead and anchor that in on your right-hand side. And now that you've gone out a couple of months, I want you to float out and go 12 months into the future. Maybe you have become even more learned, more self-aware, more resourceful. But I want you to notice how you are even more empowered, more excited, more motivated, more fulfilled, more joyful, healthy, proud, contented, more with self-control, energy. And as you feel this, I want you to drop into it and anchor this. And as you anchor into your right hand, notice that the color is exploding. Notice that this is generating. And if this is good for you, if this is safe for you, if this is environmentally friendly, I'm going to get you now to say thank you. Thank you to yourself. Thank you for all that you've learned today. Thank you for all you've changed today. And may you know that every time you revisit this and any other technique or anything in the like-mindedness that is going to be good for you, you are going to become more knowledgeable, more empowered, more joyful, healthy, proud, contented, more self-controlled, more fulfilled and excited, and so much more motivated to be inspired to be this as your new you. Now, if you've said yes to all this and anchor it off, we're going to bring you back with the color, merging it back. So you're going to merge it back through time, knowing that each and every step, every week, every month, every year, every hour was just integrated until you come back. And as you come back, you'll come back to full alertness, full awareness and full energy and full power. And as I count you back into the now, 1, 2, and 3, breathe in and breathe out. And everybody stand. That concludes our training on the first segment of our mastery session.